Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 4 a.m. No, it's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Yes, I know. Everybody fell back an hour last night. Why we're still doing that, I have no idea. Maybe I should do a video on that. Okay, so I was looking through all the news stories this morning, and I came across a story about a woman, one of these people, excuse me, that had an incident on a plane. And to be honest, there's been so many of these incidents on planes that I wasn't sure what this woman said or didn't say. I had to watch the video to remember like which incident this was on a plane because there's so many of them. And once I watched this, so this lady has finally come forward. Her name is Tiffany Gomez, and she's finally speaking up about what she saw or didn't see on this plane. And I'm sure I want to know what you guys think when you see this. Her confession, her admission, her statement is on Instagram, and the link will be right down below. And I want to know what you guys think about this because I think we all knew this. I think we as soon as I watched what she said and what she admits what she said, where she saw or she didn't see. I was like, I kind of knew that, and I think a lot of people now, I think we're going to turn and say, well, this is the media's fault. And I want to talk about that first. Okay, so this is about Tiffany Gomez, and for lack of a better name, she is the final destination lady from the plane. She comes up, the video starts, and she's coming up from the back of the plane. And I'm not sure when this was about 2 months ago. I think it was in warm weather because she's wearing like a tight leotard top, and so she's dressed nice and everything. And she's got nice. She looks nice and made up and everything, but she's upset, and she comes to the front of the plane, and she says something along the lines of, "I'm telling you, I'm getting off." She's getting off. She wants to get off the plane, and I assume that the door's already shut at this time. And she says, "And there's a reason. And I'm getting off, and you can believe me or not believe me." And there's a lot of swearing going on. I'm not gonna include the swearing in this, but she's dropping F-bombs left and right. And she stops in the front of the plane. She points to the back, and she says, "Believe it or not, you can believe it or not, but that MFer is not real. And you can believe me or not believe me. You can stay on the plane, and you can all." Now I gotta watch what I say here because she says you can all stay on the plane and perish with him. I gotta watch my terminology here because YouTube's been very strict with the yellow lighting commercials, the monetization these days. So you could all stay on the plane and perish with him or not. But I'm getting off this MFing plane, and that's pretty much what she says. Okay, so for a couple months now, she hasn't talked about this. And so she's on her Instagram account down below, she comes forward, and there's another interview down below where she did an interview. I'm not sure who this is with, but when you listen to this, she says she didn't see anything. And when you listen to what she says, she's in this interview, she says, "I didn't say I saw anything." And I think our first instinct is to blame this on the media. Well, it's the media's fault, because when you watch this, she explains that she had an altercation with a man that she was sitting next to. She obviously got very upset, and I know for a fact that some men can be real. You got to watch my language here, but they could push buttons. And I think that's the case here. And she got very upset, and she just she said, I don't know what this guy could have said all sorts of things. And she decided she wasn't even going to be on the plane with this guy. She was so upset, and I can kind of understand that. It's her right, man. If she feels uncomfortable to the point of that she doesn't even want to be on the plane with this guy, I mean, it's her right. You can't force her. She should be able, as long as the plane as long as it's not endangering any passengers, she should still be able to deplane. And she got into a verbal argument with this guy, and she was so flustered with people watching her. She said, "This guy isn't real," and you could all stand there, and she admits that she misspoke. I forgot the exact, she said she was, I forgot how she phrased it, her feelings. She was my feels. I think that's what she calls it. I don't know if that's like a younger woman phrase, my feelings. But then when you rewatch it, she doesn't actually say that she saw anything. And people, when she said that guy back there is not real, and when you hear her explanation and you watch this, you understand what she's saying. That guy is just unbelievable. He's not real. And you could all stay and go to HE double matchsticks with this guy or not. When you rewatch it and you hear her explanation, so why did we all do that? So I think our first instinct is to blame the media. Well, it's the media's fault. They tricked me. They said she saw something. And when she says this, you see everybody's head snap back and look back. I'm going to talk about that in a second too, because of course I tried to think back to when something similar happened to me, and I'll talk about that shortly. But I think our first instinct here is probably to blame the media. But who is the media, really? The media is us. They give us, whether you watch right-wing media or left-wing media or gossip media, or celebrity media like TMZ, or gossip media like the Daily Mail. You're watching it because it gives you something. It gives you, they give you what you want to see. That's the reason they're getting. It's just people making money, giving people what they want to see, what entertains them or scares them or gives them their jollies, for lack of a better term. I hope I can say that. They give people what they want. And yet you hear, especially a lot of right-wingers go, it's the media, like it's the deep state, and they're putting all this stuff in our heads. No, they are just selling what we're buying. That's it. Like in the title of this video, I'm probably not going to say that she saw it. She didn't see anything. I'm going to call her the Final Destination lady, and I'm going to say, she finally talks about what she saw, which is the truth, which was nothing. But I'm not going to say it was nothing, so you guys will click on the video. Is that deceitful? No. It's, you guys want to know, and then you probably all still have an opinion, like I have an opinion. And we're probably all going to say, I knew that. Because I think, when I think back the first time I watched this video, I didn't talk about it like on this video on my YouTube channel, because I was like, oh, it's not really a big deal. She's not being very specific. I don't know what I would say in a video. And now when I rewatch it, I was like, yeah, and I think we're all going to say that. We're going to say, well, yeah, we kind of knew she didn't, because she says this in the interview. She says, I never said I saw anything. She wasn't trying to trick anybody. She was just very upset. And she says in this apology video on Instagram, she says, and she's embarrassed. It was one of the worst times in her life. We all have these moments. This was hers. She's going to try to move forward and make the best of it. And God bless her, really, because that's the same thing I would do. That's the same thing I do now. I've done a lot of things that I'm embarrassed of, that I wish to God I never did, that I wish to God people never saw. But all I can do is own up to them now and move forward and try to take what I learned and use it to help myself or help other people. That's it. And that's what she says in this video. So it was all just us. It was us that made this up. It wasn't her. She never said she saw a thing. She never ever, in the interview or anything, she never said she saw anything. And people assumed that this was a Final Destination thing. She saw some kind of spirit or another dimension, or she saw the future, like on Final Destination. No, she never said that. She was just a woman that was ticked off, and she just wanted to get away from this guy, and she got from the plane. She put herself in a position that she didn't know how to get out of. Really, I think that's part of it too. And it's happened to me where you all of a sudden you find yourself in a position and you don't know how to back out of it. You don't know how to go forward. You don't know how to go backward, and you're kind of stuck in the position you put yourself in. And I think that's what happened here. And the media runs with it, and we all, and it's the media is us. We all just made a big deal out of it. And like I said, you could see when everybody's head snaps back in the plane, imagination's just kicked in. Now, this is where I try to think of something like this that happened to me, and it wasn't on a plane. And I've talked about this before. I was in one of my rehabs, one of my over a dozen trips to detox and rehab. And a man came in. I was in my early 30s at this time. And a man came in, and he was probably about my age now. He was probably in his 50s. And he was neatly dressed. I remember he had a sweater on, and he had a down vest. He looked like a hunter or a fisherman, and he had it together. He didn't look like the rest of us, and I guess he had a drinking problem, and he was well spoken. I forgot he had a good job. I don't remember what it was. And he came in, and we all introduced ourselves, right? But then later that day, or the next morning, I'm walking down the hallway, and I hear screaming coming out of the room. And I walk by, me and we're walking, there's not much to do when you're in a detox, and we're walking up and down the hallway, and we look in the room, and it's this guy that came in, this normal looking dude, and he's just losing it. He's having alcohol withdrawals, which is not funny. I'm not making fun of this at all or anything. It's actually terrifying to watch, and that's how I felt. He was screaming that there was helicopters landing on the building, landing on the hospital. And the way he was saying this, like he was saying this, like, you got to get out of here, and because I saw the guy before, and he looked perfectly normal, and I knew he was going through alcohol withdrawals, but I was still terrified. Part of me still wondered if he actually saw something, because there actually was a heliport on this hospital, of course. And he probably saw that too, but with his withdrawals, it turned into something else. But to me, when you see somebody that does something so irrational that you can't explain, that is saying something that you don't understand, you start to, part of you, no matter even if it's not true, you start to wonder, part of you wonders if it is true, if there is something going on. It's scary to watch when somebody isn't, I don't want to say acting crazy, but it is acting irrationally. Into something you can't explain. And they shut the doors. They actually tied this guy down, a 4-point tie down or harness, whatever they call it, the hands, legs, everything, to the bed, and gave him all sorts of medication. And he was normal the next day, but this scared the hell out of me. And alcohol is nothing to alcohol. Addiction and abuse is one of the most dangerous things, even more so, I think, than some of the stuff I messed around with. And it was scary to watch. But like I said, part of me was, when you see somebody acting like this, like I said, on this plane, Tiffany Gomez, you see everybody's head snap around immediately. They're like, well, what did she see? She must have saw something. But she never said she saw anything. And she never said that. Never said in an interview. And really, we all just made it bigger than it was. It wasn't her. And I think she's handling it well. Let me know what you think. Tiffany Gomez, the Final Destination plane lady, comes clean. Have a good Sunday.